Let's continue Part 2. If you haven't watched Part 1, link is in the description. Her name tag read Cheryl, CNA. I asked her if she was bothered by it all. She nodded her head. Are you kidding me? Each night I wonder if I'll make it through. I want to quit, but I can't. Don't sign that contract. If you make it through the night, clock out and never look back. She told me about the supervisor, how she was pure evil. She told me she'd been working here for 11 years. 11? I burst out. Cheryl nodded. What she doesn't tell you is how much this place takes from you. Every rule you break, no matter how small, takes a piece of you. She eyed my injured arm. Your soul. It claims you, body and soul, and you become another one of her puppets. What about your mother? I asked. She shook her head. Nobody remembers me, not even my own mother. And now I can never leave this place. She was interrupted by the phone ringing. It was 8 o'clock. You'd better get that. It's probably the pharmacy, she said, and disappeared down the hall. Pharmacy. A deep, guttural voice croaked from the receiver. Remembering Rule 7, I told him to meet me in the first-floor stairwell. The delivery man was wrong. His face was too normal, like a composite sketch, and he smelled of rot and decay. He handed me a small brown paper bag, leaking something from the bottom. The sticker read, "Keep refrigerated. Administer 1 chyme at hour of sleep for insomnia." It was for Larry. I took the bag to the medroom. It had the same sickly sweet smell as the pharmacist. I placed it in the fridge, and as I stepped out, I saw her. Towering over the nurse station was a tall, lanky woman, her face obscured by long black hair that writhed like snakes. Rule 8. I fumbled with my keys, burst into the medroom, and locked the door. 6 minutes. I just had to wait. A silhouette loomed beyond the glass. Then I felt thin, cold tendrils of her hair making their way under the door. I scrambled to the back of the room, my eyes glued to the clock. Finally, 6 minutes passed. The hair receded, the figure vanished. I collapsed into the chair at the desk, my heart pounding. That was too close. The clock on the wall read 8:52. My phone read 8:32. The digital clocks lie. The analog clock was the truth. It was almost time for my 9 o'clock rounds. I started with Larry's room. I knocked 3 times. "Come in," his voice said. I stepped inside. A bedside lamp cast a warm glow. A normal-looking elderly man sat on the bed. "Hello, Larry," I said. "Is there anything you need?" "There is," he said, looking up at me. I had to stifle a scream. The darkness was still there, in his eyes. Where his eyes should have been were swirling pools of blackness, mesmerizing and terrifying voids that seemed to pull at my very soul. "I'm tired, but I can't sleep without my medicine." He emphasized the word. "Would you be so kind as to get it for me?" I retrieved the bag from the medroom. It smelled awful, like meat left to rot in the sun. I gave him his regular pill and placed the bag on his bedside table. He popped the pill, then tore into the paper bag like a rabid animal. Inside were 2 eyeballs, their stems still attached, covered in a viscous fluid. Without hesitation, he scooped them up and slurped them down like spaghetti. A loud, wet sound filled the room. When he was done, he looked at me. In place of the darkness were 2 blue eyes. He said "I just wanted to get a good look at you before you left," with a wide smile on his face. "You may go now." The phone rang. It was Brad. "How are you holding up?" I'm okay, I think. Larry did a number on my arm. You need to be more careful. Any rule you break could get you killed or worse. He paused. I saw the dark-haired woman. Hi, a real terror. You didn't look at her face, did you? No, I locked myself in the bedroom. Good. Unlike the other residents, she will actively hunt you. Why is there a surgeon in a nursing home? Brad chuckled. Does anything make sense here? No, it certainly does not. Well, friend, I have to go. Oh, shit. Brad? What happened? The line went dead. Cheryl appeared beside me. It was probably the black-haired lady. She told me about the other facility, a nightmarish alternate reality. This place is like a mirror. This is the reflection. The real world is much more terrifying. It's like a living nightmare. I was there once. I didn't finish my rounds on time. The phone rang again. It was Brad. Sorry about that, bud. That woman really has it in for me tonight. I made it into the bedroom safely. I was telling you about this alternate reality. Brad explained. Think of it like this. When you enter the second floor, you pass through the veil. It hides the true nature of this place. If you end up there, it's not a mirage. It's real and extremely dangerous. Crap, look at the time, Stephen. I checked the clock. 11:01. You know what to do, Brad said, and hung up. I was late for rounds. I headed for the bedroom. From a nearby room, I heard a child's voice. Come play with us, mister. Rule 9. I locked myself in the bedroom. Frantic pounding started on the door. It was Cheryl. Cheryl, let me in, please. I wouldn't do that if I were you. A soft, sultry voice said from behind me. A beautiful woman in gray scrubs stood there. Her name tag read, Mary T. The rules, she said. I kept the door locked. The pounding and screaming went on for 27 minutes before it stopped. When I came out, the station was empty. My only task was to hang an IV for a Louise Bell in room 600. I didn't have any tubing. I called Brad. He met me by the fire doors. As he handed me the tubing, a room door opened behind him. The dark-haired woman shuffled out. She's right behind me, isn't she? He asked. I nodded. He kept his eyes on the floor and started for the bedroom. Then a voice called out from the woman. Brad, please, help me. It was Ashley's voice. The woman flickered, and for a moment she looked just like the day nurse. Brad stopped. Ashley? The fire doors slammed shut, knocking me to the ground. Through the window, I watched helplessly as Brad walked toward her, grief on his face. Brad, it's not her! I screamed, banging on the door. He placed a hand on her cheek. Ashley, is it really you? Yes, dear, she replied, wrapping her arms around him. Brad, you have to run! I screamed. Oh no, he said, his eyes widening in terror. What have I done? Those were his last words. She flickered back to her true form. With inhuman speed, she wrapped an arm around his neck, lifted him off the floor, and hurled him against the wall. A sickening crack echoed in the hall. She grabbed his head, her fingers stretching impossibly long, and dragged his broken body into one of the forbidden elevators. A ding, and the doors slid shut. He was gone. Tears streamed down my face. I had lost the only person who seemed to understand this place. I still had a task to do. Brad would have wanted me to stay safe. I hung Louise's IV. I slumped in the chair at the nurse's station and cried. I feel for you and for him, but this is what happens if you break the rules. She was sitting in the chair next to me. Just who are you? I asked. My name is Mary Oneida Toops. I've acted as a sentry for this place for well over 100 years. She explained she was a witch, part of a coven that had sealed an ancient evil, the Night Supervisor, beneath this very ground centuries ago. The seal was weakening and the demon was using the nursing home as her personal hunting ground. You must do your best to play her game, Mary warned, and when the time comes, I hope you have the wisdom to reject your greed. She stepped into an elevator and was gone. At 1 a.m., I went to check on Louise. Her IV was finished. I entered her room. Her arm felt strange. As my leg bumped it, there was a loud thud. Resting on the floor was her arm, cut off at the shoulder with surgical precision. With a trembling hand, I pulled back her covers. The putrid smell of rot hit me like a ton of bricks. Her torso was cut open, all her organs removed. In their place were her dismembered legs and her other arm, swarming with maggots. I puked in the trash can and ran. Cheryl was at the desk, unfazed. "Oh, okay," she said when I told her. "I'll clean the mess up. It's not the first time I've had to dispose of a body, and it won't be the last." She told me about the morgue in the basement, accessible only by the elevators. She handed me a crumpled map. "Don't wake up the thing in the boiler room," was scrawled on it. A crash sounded down the hall. In room 622, I saw a courtyard through the window that was all wrong. Instead of the ground, there was an endless expanse of windows stretching down into darkness. A ginormous, sinister clock jutted out from the wall, its hands sharpened and smeared with blood. "Stephen," a whisper came from the window. "Come closer." I couldn't resist. I climbed onto the windowsill. "Good. Now push." The glass cracked. Fine, dark tendrils began to seep from behind the clock face, reaching for me. "Stephen, what are you doing?" Cheryl screamed from behind me. The window shattered. As I fell forward, Cheryl grabbed me, pulling me back from the abyss. "What rule did you break?" she asked. My eyes widened. "I forgot to knock." "You've lost 5% of your soul." She explained that the clock was my soul personified. My thoughts were interrupted by a shadow looming over me, the dark-haired woman. I backed away, but in front of me was the operating room, its light on. With nowhere else to turn, I pushed the doors open. Inside, the hulking surgeon was working over Brad's body. He commanded my help. I had to hand him tools as he removed Brad's organs. He ripped out the heart, took a bite, and handed me a piece. "Eat." My hands trembled. The rules were absolute. I put the warm, tough muscle in my mouth and chewed. Later, a call light from room 509 went on. I heard children's laughter from within. They sounded like my dead siblings. The elevator dinged, and something pushed me inside. The doors closed, and the elevator began its descent. Mary was there. "You're really quite bad at this," she said. She explained I had pushed me into the elevator to save me from the things in that room, which were conjured by the supervisor from my memories. "When these doors open, find the stairs and do it quickly. And whatever you do, don't let the mortuary find you." The doors opened onto a long stone hallway, the basement. To my left, heavy chains secured two large metal doors. A deep rumbling came from within. To my right, a door read, "Employee Records." Inside, I found a filing cabinet full of newspaper clippings about missing persons, all from these woods. One drawer held employee files, each with a name, age, and time of harvest. My own folder was there, empty. Mary appeared again. "She's an eldritch horror," she said. "If you don't want to end up in that filing cabinet, spend as little time down here as possible." I continued down the hall. A door on the left read, Morgue. The door to the stairs on the right was locked. The key had to be in the morgue. Inside, 16 gurneys with sheet-covered corpses lined the room. The door slammed shut behind me. In the large mirror at the end of the room, the bodies were all sitting up, their heads turning to face me. The mortuary was coming. I hid under an empty gurney, the one with a tag bearing my name. The door flew open. A creature with the skull of a wolf, a tattered lab coat, and long black claws stepped in. It sniffed the air, then stalked toward me. Just as it grabbed the sheet, Louise's body fell from the gurney next to me with a thud. A small silver key clattered to the floor. The creature dragged her corpse through the mirror and disappeared. I grabbed the key and ran. As I unlocked the door to the stairs, I saw a pale, wrinkled hand wrap around the morgue door, followed by long, dark hair. It was her! I slammed the door and ran. Up the stairs, flight after flight, her soft footsteps following me. I emerged into a dilapidated hallway floating in an endless dark void. She was right behind me. I ran, tripping over a gurney, and landed on my own corpse. I scrambled up and rammed the door at the end of the hall. It gave way, and I found myself in another stairwell. I ran up until I saw light. I was back on 500 Hall. I locked myself in the medroom just as she appeared, slamming her fists against the door. I watched the clock counting down the seconds until the banging stopped. I looked at the clock on the wall. It was 5:55 a.m. I had 10 minutes for my final rounds. I rushed out. Larry's room was empty. All the residents were in the common area. I frantically escorted them back to their rooms. I got the last one in bed with 1 minute to spare. But I still had one room to round on. By now, the lights were flickering. I was out of time. I rounded the corner, so close, and then the lights went out. When they flickered back on, I was in a nightmare. The facility was a decaying, blood-soaked version of itself. The floor was a metal grating with the chained bodies of past employees dangling in the darkness below. An infinite hallway stretched before me. To my right, the dark-haired woman was walking down the hall, scraping her nails against the wall, dragging Brad's multiplied corpse. Remembering the rule, I scanned the horizon for a green flag. There was one a quarter of a mile down the hall. I ran faster than I ever had in my life. I made it into the room and locked the door just as she reached it. The lights flickered, and I was back in a normal room. The nursing home was eerily quiet. It was 6:20 a.m. I had survived. Then the intercom crackled. "Stephen, please report to my office before you leave." The operating room was gone. In its place, 2 ornate wooden doors read, Night Supervisor. Rule 13. I had to go in. She was the woman from my dream, impossibly beautiful, ancient, and evil. "Your performance last night was nothing short of exemplary," she said, her smile not reaching her eyes. She slid a contract across the desk. $125 an hour. "But I broke so many rules." "True," she purred, "but you survived. I was impressed with your resilience." She leaned in, her voice a whisper. "You could be making thousands of dollars a night. A new car, a house, Sarah. I can give you all of it. All you have to do is sign." "What are you?" I asked. She chuckled. "I've been called many names. These woods are mine. Prove yourself and you can have it all. So what do you say?" I don't know," was all I could say. "That's fine. Take that home and sleep on it. And to sweeten the pot, I'll pay you $100 an hour if you return for tonight's shift. No contract required. I will expect an answer come Monday." I stood and walked to the door. As I turned to close it, I heard Brad's voice from within. "Stephen, please help me." The door slammed shut. I spun around. The office was gone. I was in a dusty, unfinished hallway, as if the second floor was truly under renovation. I walked out into the parking lot, into the warm sun. I got in my car and drove, eager to put as much distance as I could between myself and New Haven. In my rearview mirror, I saw Mary standing by the sign, smiling and waving. I didn't realize how tired I was until I got home. I collapsed into bed and fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. I awoke in the late afternoon to a missed call from Sarah. I clicked on the voicemail, smiling. Her voice filled the room, cheerful and excited. "Hey, Stephen, it's me. I didn't have any luck finding a job and saw that New Haven was hiring. I know. I said I'd never work there, but I saw that they were hiring for the weekend night shift. I've always been kind of a night owl myself, you know? And you wouldn't believe what they're offering. It's insane. I was thinking that maybe we should apply together. It'd be nice to work with someone familiar. Let me know what you think, okay? Bye."